everyone, welcome to Auto Live. And today with us we have Mr. Rob, who specializes in converting Hummer EV, SUVs, and pickups, and many other luxury cars from a left-hand drive to a right-hand drive. And the name of his company is Auto Group International. How are you, Mr. Rob?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me on today. It's really exciting.
And firstly, I would like to know how do you do this? Like, what is the converting process of converting Hummer EVs and other luxury cars from left-hand drive to a right-hand drive? Like, what is the process?
Absolutely. Look, in a way, it's very easy, but it's also extraordinarily complex. Now, it's easy for us. We've been doing it for 30 years. I have a team of 250 people in Australia and Sri Lanka. And we've converted 5,000 vehicles. So in a way, it is easy, but it's extraordinarily complex because most people think that it's, we're just taking the steering wheel from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. But to give you a sense, there's around, depending on the vehicle, anywhere between 200 and 400 parts that need to be looked at, redesigned, reverse engineered, manufactured, tested, and then installed into the vehicle. And then, of course, you have all of the compliance elements. And the Hummer, which has gone viral in India, which is super exciting, a beast of a vehicle, and we can get to that in a minute, but you've got to remember that this is a vehicle that weighs over 4,000 kilos, does 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds.
Yes.
So there is an important part in doing the conversion from left-hand drive to right-hand drive, but equally it needs to be done correctly because you've got a very big car going very, very quickly.
So it's a difficult process, of course, but
Yes.
You guys are so specialized in that, so you it's not a big task for you guys. So
Well,
I would like to, I would like to know who is the owner of this viral Hummer in India. Like, who owns this car?
I can't tell you that. It's absolutely up to the customer's discretion to come out and talk about that. And I'm sure they probably will. Can I just say that it's a well-respected person in India, and in fact, I was only talking to him quite literally randomly, maybe an hour ago. And he is a kind.
What was the conversation?
Oh, look, it was a crazy conversation. So about, he was excited about, how viral the video had gone. He'd been out to our facility in Sri Lanka, which is where I'm normally based. So we talked about when he came out with his family. And actually he commented, so our branding Auto Group, we have an A on it, and we've got baseball caps, which I'm not wearing today, which has our branding A, and it happens that his son's initial starts with an A, and he was saying and his son's young, and he's saying how he's, his young boy hasn't taken the hat off since he got the hat. So, but it was a nice conversation. It was about the fact that he loves the vehicle, and I think he might end up buying another. But it was just really cool just to say thank you. And it's a sort of work that we do. I mean, we have clients obviously throughout India, but also in, locally Bangladesh, Pakistan, but also Indonesia, Malaysia, Australia, which is where we're speaking. We've got a big operation here in Australia, UK, across the planet. So it was actually one of those calls, which I love. And in fact, tell you the honest truth, we were talking, and at one stage I said to him, I've sort of actually got goosebumps because it's such a lovely thing when you have to imagine our vehicles are sourced from North America, they're shipped to Sri Lanka. As I say, got a team of over 200 people there who are brilliant and capable and talented and passionate, and there's a huge amount of engineering and manufacturing and all of those things. But to be able to go, and we reflected on our first conversation many months ago to today, where his vehicle is in India and he's loving it. It's just one of those beautiful conversations of we did it and he is happy, and I have a feeling that a number of his friends also want a similar vehicle.
Yeah. So how do you guys ensure that the vehicle's performance remains uncompromised after the conversion? Like, what is the...
Look, I guess there's a couple of things at play, and converting vehicles honestly, it is a complex engineering and manufacturing process. And now we're fortunate, I've got a team of 30 odd engineers on board, so mechanical, electrical, computer engineers. So there is a huge amount of engineering and design work that goes into it. There's also, I guess, the institutional knowledge. We have mentioned before, we've converted 5,000 vehicles. So this business is 100% family owned. So it was started by my father nearly 32 years ago. So within the business, there is an extraordinary amount of knowledge and experience in how to convert vehicles. And people would naturally expect that would be the case when it comes to our mechanics and our auto electricians and our plastics team and engineers, etc. But it goes on to our compliance team, our quality control team, etc. So it's always a challenge, but it's always about the incredible team that we have, and indeed those 30 years of actually being in the conversion business.
So, see, it's a very good thing. Like, what are the challenges you face during these conversions? Like, there must be certain challenges.
Look, there is, and I think there's a few challenges, and again, we're quite familiar with it, given that we do these things all of the time. I guess there's always the ongoing challenge with vehicles when you do a conversion. Is there's kind of I don't know, the cheap and dirty and fast way to do it, or there is the proper way to do it, where you take into consideration all of the elements: engineering, safety, compliance, all of those sorts of things. So, the difficulties are, EV platforms are different. In some ways, they're more complex. In other ways, they're less complex. But for us, it's always, there are things that we look for. So I'll give you an example. I mean, obviously, people are quite aware they're buying a right-hand drive converted vehicle. So, people spend a lot of focus, as they should, on the quality of the finish, the quality of the dashboard, the quality of those sorts of things. People will look at, and the Hummer is a good example. When you look at our Hummers, and this is a very, in a way, a simple example, but actually is a demonstration of the complexity and the skill of our team. So if you can imagine sitting in the original Hummer as it was a left-hand drive vehicle, and in the middle you've got your big digital display, which is super cool, but on the left-hand side you've got your volume knob. So you'd be sitting over here driving your car, and you'd reach over and you turn your volume up or down. Now, we've moved the steering wheel, we've done all of the change across, of course, but we go to the level of detail of actually moving the volume knob from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, because of course when you're now over on this side of the car driving it, you want to be able to reach to this side of the screen rather than reach all the way over here. So I guess that's an example of the detail, and in some ways people would look at that and go, oh, that's pretty easy, you just move the knob from there to there, but actually it's extraordinarily complex. And another example is the gear shift knob. So the vehicle's an automatic, of course, and the gear shift is located between the two seats. And you can imagine your normal gear shift, when you're sitting on the left hand side, you've got a button that you press with your thumb, and you change your gears, park, reverse, neutral, drive, etc. Again, transfer the vehicle to the right hand side. It's extraordinarily complex, yet we do it to actually move and redesign the entire handle, so I can now grab it with my left hand and I can use my left thumb to press a button to change the gear. So it's those sorts of details that I guess many people wouldn't think about, but it's what we do. I think the other thing for us with the Hummers is that we were the original people doing, again, 30 years, that were doing the H2 and H3 Hummers. So when you think of some of the famous Indian cricketers from 20 years ago that were driving, the super cool Hummers back in the day. Well, you know what? They were all by us. So there's a heritage on the Hummer, which is kind of cool. And in fact, somewhere in our social media, I'm sure there are posts of a old Hummer that we keep as a museum piece, just because it's cool. Parked next to the new Hummer, and it's a cool shot, and it's one of those heritage things of just kind of showing the history through it.
Do you have Indian clients?
Oh, we do. Yes, most definitely. So,
do you name some?
We never ever name our clients. It's a funny thing. it was funny in the sense that just out of sheer respect and privacy, we never name our customers, but equally they're driving vehicles that you can't miss. So if you see a Dodge Challenger or a Camaro in India, or a Yukon Denali or a Lincoln Navigator, or some of the big American pickup trucks, there's a pretty good chance they came from us. But yeah, we never disclose our customers' names, but equally, like the virality of your video and others, they stand out. You cannot drive a Hummer EV and not be photographed or videoed.
We have also done a video on that viral Hummer EV. That was really good. Yeah, we have got good views on that.
Yes, indeed. It's very cool.
Yeah. So how do you guys maintain the post conversion conduct, like test? How do you maintain that? Like, what are the tests that go after the conversion?
So we're pretty experienced at it. And again, we talk about the fact that we've got vehicles in 40 countries around the world. So we have a dedicated team that look after our customers. And I guess the great thing with modern vehicles is that you simply plug in a scan tool. So, and again, it doesn't matter if it's a Hummer or any modern vehicle, that the technology is such now that you simply plug in the scan tool and it will go through and either tell you from a servicing perspective, or indeed if there's a problem, it will look for the fault codes, and we then support our customers from there. So our customers in India would go to, and we have some service partners, but they can just go to a modern garage, a big service agent, and they will be able to plug in their scan tool and either conduct their service work, or if there is a fault, they then will be able to work with it, and we then support our customers. And the important thing for all of our vehicles, so whether it's a Hummer or a Dodge Challenger or a Yukon Denali or whatever it is that we do, we provide a full 3-year warranty on our vehicles. So not just on the conversion, but on the entire vehicle. Now that's a pretty big responsibility, and something we take seriously. So we've got a full team. We carry spares in Sri Lanka and indeed here in Australia. And if there is a problem, then we step into action. And to be fair, I think there's two things on the servicing happens. Of course, it's a natural consumable thing. And actually for a lot of our customers, because, oil filters, now obviously there's no oil in the Hummer EV, but it's just a good example. For a lot of our international customers around the world, we would normally ship the vehicle or thereafter, but ship the vehicle with the consumables that they would need for servicing for the next year or two. So that way, they need to do a 10,000 kilometer service, then they will already have those parts readily available, or we just simply air freight them around the world. And on occasion, we've got a team, engineering and indeed a mechanical team, that a fly team that travel. So, we don't do it very often, but when we need to go and support a customer, we just get on an airplane and away they go. But it's always interesting that we, whenever we need to go and see a customer in person, we always have 100 volunteers. It's like, oh, I'd like to go. I'd like to go to India or Malaysia or the UK or wherever for a work trip. But very well.
So there are different laws in different countries, like road laws. So how do you integrate the strict protocols during the conversion to ensure that the vehicle is road safety?
Yes, look, and that is
and that's it's legal in different countries. Yeah.
Look, and I think that's probably the most important part of our discussion to date.
Yes.
Because, and I sort of said before, you can kind of do this in the backyard, a bit of a bodge job is what we would call, or you can do it properly. So our heritage and where, my father started the business, and again, I'm in Melbourne at our pretty big facility here. There are some countries that have very tough compliance rules. So Australia is one, the UK is another, South Africa is another. And then there are other countries that always look to that level of compliance. And there's probably a third group of countries that just don't actually care. You can just about import anything that you like. Yeah. So, and this is a bit technical, but all of our vehicles are converted to, we call it the ADR standards, Australian Design Rule Standards. So that means that every vehicle that we convert, irrespective of it going to Australia or India or Cyprus or Zimbabwe or, I don't know, wherever, is designed, engineered, manufactured and converted to that same standard. So the Hummer EV that is in India, we could have in Australia here. That for us is really important. And to give you an idea, I mean, we have across our compliance and quality team, there's probably 20 people plus our engineering people, 30 people, so 50 maybe, who are all involved in that compliance piece to ensure that what we do is at one level legally compliant, so we can import them in, and secondly, I think morally quite important, the vehicles are safe. And again, we go back to the Hummer that's in India. He has a family, he's got young children, they're going to be in that vehicle. So whilst compliance in one way is, oh yeah, we have it or we do it or whatever, actually, when the rubber hits the road, as they say, when you're in a 4,300 kilogram Hummer that goes extraordinarily quick, that compliance is actually really very, very important. So yeah, for us, it's a massive part of what we do. For most of our clients, they appreciate it at some point, but what it means is that we don't have problems with our vehicles and they're safe.
Yeah. So are you sure you're not going to tell who is the owner?
No. Well, I can tell you that he lives in India. Does that help? Does that narrow it down?
What?
I said I can tell you that he lives in India. Does that help?
Oh.
No.
So,
It's
yeah.
Yeah. No. We have a huge range of customers, and and particularly, so obviously with the Hummer, everybody is aware of and thing, but we do a whole range of vehicles. So we do what we call our CEO vehicles, which have a luxury interior. We do armored vehicles, etc. So yeah, for a lot of our customers, their privacy is pretty important.
So Rob, my last question is, how do you see this company's future?
Oh, look, we are growing. So Hummers are going crazy, but of course, we do hundreds and hundreds of pickup trucks. We do a huge number of SUVs. We are working on 1, 2, 3, 4 new vehicle projects at the moment that will come out early in the new year. So yeah, our future is growing. Certainly one of our plans would be, certainly one of my strategic plans is to build a facility in India. That's certainly part of our strategic goal. Obviously, we have a big manufacturing facility in Sri Lanka. I'd love to have one in India, and you never know what happens. We're growing, and so I think the future for the next few years is pretty cool.
Yeah. So Rob, thank you so much for talking, and thank you so much for telling us about the company, like how do you guys work and what all is the process, what are the safety protocols, what is all about. So thank you so much, and it was great.
My absolute pleasure. One final thing from me, that if you want to come down and visit us, visit the facility in Colombo, you'd be very welcome to. We are on, I'm going to put a bit of a plug in, we are on YouTube, so we have all of our vehicles, and look, unfortunately it's me doing the reviewing, so it's not hugely professional. It's a bit of Rob and American Cars, the factory tour and other bits and pieces. So if people want to learn a little bit more about us, they can just search for Auto Group on YouTube and check out what we do.
Sure.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.